Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Welcome to Tuesday, April 12th, morning prep. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm back from spring break, had a great time, ready to get started, ready to dig back into this market. Starting today on the daily time frame, just to give you guys a little bit of frame of reference around some of the movement we've been seeing in the market. I've added a 2-day and a 4-day squeeze just to give us some reference as far as pullbacks and what those look like each time. On these most recent larger pullbacks in the last year, it tends to be the 2-day or 4-day squeeze that kind of props us up, as well as moving averages. But when you slip below the moving averages, you have to start looking around for what support might be. So, as you can see on each of these recent larger pullbacks that went below moving averages, the 2-day, 4-day saved us. The same is true even on the sell-off that we've had this year. This 2-day and 4-day, even though we grinded and pushed them down, they never fired, and we came back up off of them. We fired this 1-day squeeze up into this 2-day squeeze, but we didn't quite test the 2-day, and we're coming back down. We are now pretty much in the middle of the 2-day squeeze, as ES is at the daily 50. If you throw on a 2-day 21, it's probably going to be right there too. So, just wanted to give that larger time frame view. I know a lot of times I start in a 30-minute chart. But I wanted to start on a daily chart today just to remind folks, we should be stepping out to the daily, the monthly, other time frames as well to just get a larger macro scope of things. One thing I did want to try to kind of point out, if you notice, we had our first drop and pop back to the means, then a further drop, pop back and through the means. Now we're pulling back to kind of the initial drops, ranges, and zones. So, if we can ultimately stay above 4,300 on ES, we'll kind of be making an inverse head and shoulders. We're basically at the point where we'd need to bounce to make the shoulder, and we're a little higher actually. So we could see more downside to retest these zones that popped us up before. And if we do that, we'll kind of be making that inverse head and shoulders. If we look at NQ, it's already started testing those levels. So if you see this wick from today, it's already tested some of these levels. So NQ could start to lead this inverse head and shoulders back up. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Ready is a little uglier, but kind of the same setup. But ultimately, the Ruddy has been stuck, in this 200-point range since the sell-off. So once it breaks out of here, small caps will definitely get interesting, but for the time being, if you can see, the third Keltner up and the third Keltner down are now within this 2-day, 4-day squeeze. Yeah, this is the 2-day and the 4-day up above. So we could be stuck here for a little bit now that all Keltners are within the squeeze. NYM, yeah, not quite down to create the shoulder. I guess if you kind of go off of the opens and closes and this previous drop, YM's at that same level. So, as usual, no bias, but we are at support where things have bounced previously, even though we have slipped lower on the whole invasion. But we're at a good spot where we could bounce and start to see further rally that takes out this recent high. Now let's just jump in to the normal time frames I'm usually presenting in. My oh my, they like it. So, always things to keep in mind. Yesterday was kind of boring, but we were on a downtrend. We could not get going as the day started. We grinded down this 30-minute until it fired to get down to this 4-hour squeeze where we grinded on that. We got one pop late in the day, back to VWAP, and then a dump. Hopefully that is not an unfamiliar scenario, what unfolded yesterday, where we can't seem to get going. Every pop gets pushed back down. You get a late day push, and then the last big dump. Kind of a normal pattern that we have seen before. And I know a number of us hit those puts late in the day and got some great returns. Ultimately, you can see we're already pretty much back to where we opened yesterday on the cash session. Almost like all of this never happened. We have pushed hard off of this first Keltner down on the overnight. Here is the daily mean, 21 up at 44.70. So first Keltner down, this 43.91. We held that very nicely overnight, taken back off from it, back above the daily 50. So now we are stuck between all of the daily liquidities that we track in our system. The daily 50 below is support. The daily 21, 8, 200, 15 all above as targets and magnets. We also have POC 44.66, pretty much right up with the daily mean. So let's see if this drive and what looks like some good reaction to economic data continues to push us up back to the daily mean and the daily 200. Let's see, we closed yesterday right at around 44.05 with a 80-point ATR. We can absolutely get back to the mean, get back to the daily 200 and this 44.89. But if we cannot get through yesterday's high after open and some of these pre-market highs, those could be the resistance that causes a reversal to send us back down. We don't really have any smaller time frame squeezes. That is why I did step up to that 2-day, 4-day to give you an idea. But they are very far away as we sit in the middle of them. We have to really crunch to show the top is way back up near these highs that didn't quite tap it. And the low, the bottom of the squeeze is actually back at the lows from the invasion. So very wide range. We won't be interacting with those anytime soon. Ooh, and we're pushing more. Some of us, as silly as it might sound, some of us swung calls that we bought end of day. And if that doesn't make sense to you, then let's definitely talk about that, because there's a whole reason and pattern on an end of day sell off why you can statistically expect a little bit of a gap up. And now it's turning into a little bit more of a gap up. So, NQ. NQ has completely taken out yesterday. So, someone might want to lead today. Let's take a quick look at YM. Yeah, see, YM still way below where it started the day yesterday. So you got to look around for relative strength. Whoops. Relative strength, where things are at compared to previous price action. Right now, NQ is up 1.6%, YM is up 0.5%. So we have a leader right now. Let's see if NQ wants to continue to lead to the upside. But for today, NQ pushing right back up, engulfing yesterday. Definitely keep an eye on these pre-market highs from yesterday, because those are the next bits of resistance right around this 14,300. If we can get through that in the daily 50, we can keep on trucking up to the daily 21. We also have POC sitting up with the daily 21 as well. So let's see if that magnet can pull us up. Should we reject this 300 or the daily 50, we'll be coming back to these levels and yesterday's price action to find support. The Ready also pushing hard and pretty much engulfing yesterday, but it does have a squeeze to deal with. Let's see if it can push right on through, or if the squeeze causes a little bit of reversal in profit taking to go retest this consolidation, which kind of represents the price action of yesterday. YM. Almost back to the daily 21. April has been a strong month historically for YM. So let's see if YM does want to try to start to lead a little more this month. Currently NQ is leading the show, but YM is breaking through resistance from these highs. If you're not used to drawing trend lines, I definitely recommend getting used to them. And we do have some helpful videos in our Discord that can teach you how to do that, as well as a tool that I've distributed in our Discord that helps draw trend lines depending on the time frame you're on. So YM's starting to get through the resistance from these highs pre-market. Let's see if during the cast session we want to revisit that trend line before we continue higher. But even though these things are up a good amount, on ES it's only half of an ATR. On YM we still have plenty of ATR. We're not even halfway. In Q's still got a little bit of room to go. So definitely potential for more upside. But YM already tapping the daily 21. Let's see what happens there. If it rejects, comes back to trend line, loses, we'll be going back to the daily 50. If it can hold that little range and this 400, we can track back up to the daily 8. And we could kind of just chop around here. That wouldn't surprise me. Moving on. Individual names. Apple. Apple was very weak yesterday and leading to the downside. It was kind of the first in tech to arrive at its first Keltner down. We have our end of day sell off, hold overnight, and Apple's pretty much already engulfing yesterday. Back above the daily 50. And let's see if we can stay above the daily 50 and maybe yesterday's pre-market low. Right at around this 167.5. If we do have a little pullback off of the daily 50, would like to see us hold yesterday's pre-market low to continue this trek to the upside. Apple closed at 165 with a 4-point ATR, so we can get up to 169. Almost there. So we could see Apple, run into these wicks, these price levels around 169, 169 and a half, and just kind of calm down after such a strong gap up. Or she can just keep on pushing to the daily 21 and POC, which is right back up at our key zone. You can see I don't have any other zones right now in Apple, just because this has been such a key magnet. We pushed off of it to get up to 180, came back to it, consolidate, lost it, and now we're making our way back. So that's my key zone I'm going to keep an eye on for Apple. AMD, weak yesterday as well, went below that big key psychological 100 level. Spent a whole day down there bouncing at my key level, this 9607. Apparently it slipped just a few cents below, but pretty close. Anyway, starting to fire up out of this 30-minute squeeze pre-market, already knocking on 100. So let's see if this was just a short-lived day below 100 and we take right back off on AMD. Should we reject 100, these key price levels will be revisited. If we blast through 100 and yesterday's pre-market high, obvious targets. Next Keltner up, daily 8. Should we get through that, daily 21 and 15, making a nice zone here. And POC is right in the middle at 107. So key targets to the upside, key targets to the downside. Amazon. First thing I see, downtrend, breaking through the downtrend. So we could have a trend shift on Amazon where we've taken enough profit, and now that the trend is changing, those same people that took profit will start buying again. So on Amazon, POC's up at 31.55, right about here, which makes a nice zone with the daily 21. We closed at 22 with the 96 ATR. So we can easily get a little over 3,100 on our ATR. And if we really want to have a fun day and go to ATR, we can definitely get back to the mean. But it might be a 2-day journey. And Amazon might have to take a little bit of a break. What did I just do? There we go. Alright, I'm going to accelerate through these names so we can wrap this up. Cat, stuck in a ton of squeezes, but has provided nice plays off of the bottoms and tops of those squeezes. Let's see if it wants to lead and get back above 220, which it was trying to do last week, but when it ultimately gave it up, we came down. So let's see if it wants to lead back up through 220, fire these lower time frame squeezes up in an effort to lead YM back up. We do have this 4-hour squeeze that is keeping us from moving above that 220, so keep that in mind. Moving on, let's see, Facebook, downtrend, breaking through, right at the top of this squeeze. That's starting to get through pre-market already. It looks like we're going to be open right in between all of liquidity and POC, which is right up here with the daily 8 and the daily 15. So Facebook, let's see, wouldn't be surprised to see it hit POC in this liquidity zone, take a break, hit the 21, and just kind of shore up liquidity before making the next trek higher. Or it could, for no other reason than just because it's been so beaten up lately, it could take this resistance break and strength and run with it, right? Key target to the upside, where these daily moving averages are. If we reject those and come back, the daily 21. And yeah, Google. Same story, starting to break through. Google definitely not been leading upside. It's been weak while other names like Netflix, Nvidia have been trying to lead upside. So let's see. Google loves to do a catch-up play. So as tech continues to look strong, Google could get some love. We do have Pocket. Pocket is actually down below on Google, meaning a bunch of volume had to come in to kind of hold it up. So let's see if Google can keep this going, stay above this very old trend line, but we are back and interacting with it. So ultimately staying above this 2600 to start the journey back to the daily mean, which is 100 points above. GS, not a big interest for me. It is in a squeeze. If it can get through the top of that squeeze, it can get back to the daily mean at around this 330. If it keeps rejecting the squeeze top, going back to 320 in the bottom of the squeeze. JPM. Again, not a huge focus. Plus, I believe all of these banks start reporting this week on Thursday. So, was GS? Will be Friday, Wednesday and then Thursday. Sorry, because we don't have a Friday this week. Moving on, MasterCard. Their earnings is a little further out. Interesting little level down here and right back up. Not a big focus, but we do have POC up above with all the daily moving averages at the top of the squeeze at around 353, 355. So that could actually be a good long 355s, 352 and a halves on MasterCard, Microsoft. Fell and settled at the second Keltner down, now starting to pop back. So obvious upside targets, that first Keltner, and all of these daily moving averages back up around 300. We do have POC, surprisingly, back up at 300. So if we can get through this 293, want to get back to this 300. If we reject 293, we could hang around this 288, 290 level for a bit. Netflix. Netflix was very strong yesterday. It moved down with the market, but then as the market moved up, it would shoot up. It did come all the way back when the market was weak, but then when the market was trying to get going, it shot right back up. So there was some relative strength in Netflix yesterday. Now it has taken off and is above all of yesterday's price action. So definitely like this play on Netflix to get back to 400. Let's see how we deal with this Keltner up, this squeeze top, and if the market wants to do a little profit taking after this gap up. We closed at 348 with a 15.8 TR, so we can get almost back to this daily 8 today. We do have POC still way up above at 391, so POC sits above all of liquidity. So key targets to the upside, all of these liquidity levels, and POC. If we can't break through today, we'll just consolidate probably gap up and continue the journey the next day. Vidi breaking through resistance. POC. Unfortunately, POC stepped down with the volume yesterday. As you can see, compared to previous days, there was quite a bit going on volume-wise with NVIDIA. I did swing some NVIDIA 230s and 235s. 230s about to open in the money. I know a couple of folks that are smiling on that this morning. So, let's see if NVIDIA can keep on trucking up to 230, close at 219 with a 14-point ATR or thereabouts. Can get us up through 230 and kind of to test this trend line. And a little bit more than one ATR push could get us back to this first Keltner. If we really wanted to have a crazy day and do a 2 ATR push, we could get back to the daily moving averages. Not quite the 21 unless it was just a super strong day. Qs. Key targets. I'm just going to cover key targets so we can wrap this up. We have POC at 352 up above. That's right with where the daily 21 is. So, key target to the upside today and kind of the rest of the week to get back to the mean, 352. If we can get through that, we've got other moving averages, Keltners in the 200, back at 370. Should we reject any of these daily moving averages and come back down? Daily Keltner 345, this 343, the main level you can see right now, very important. We fell to it, just messed around all day at it, rejected off of it, now we're back above it. So if we have profit taking, that gets a little more extreme and starts to go back into yesterday's price action. Really expect that 343 to hold to keep us going. Rocky Roku was pretty strong yesterday. It did not go completely all the way back and kept trucking. So, some interesting relative strength in Roku compared to other streamers. Starting to get through all of this downtrend. So we could see some explosive moves for Roku. We've got POC 117, so basically about to open at it. Let's see if it wants to take a dip to POC 117. And then cannon right on through to the daily 21 and 15 up above at 125. Not a bad setup on Roku. Shop. It was a little weak yesterday, but rallied and closed above its open. So overall, relative strength. Also had this pop pre-market, I believe, on the stock split news. So we have another e-com stock split child out there that's a little cheaper than Amazon. So, sometimes you need to focus where the big money's going to focus. A lot of catalyst going on for Shop. Let's see if it takes out this squeeze top, which it's already at. Let's see if we want to have a little dip to yesterday's high. A little profit taking before continuing on. We have POC at 644, just above the squeeze, and the daily 21 above that. I like this setup on Shop and Roku, pretty good. Snow was strong yesterday, actually. It opened at the bottom of the squeeze, took off, barely pulled back, kept on going. Now it's up above yesterday's price action. So, while the market was looking weak, this is a decent day, So Snow, trying to make a bid to get back off of this 200, 210, get back to 220, 230, 240, our key levels. So let's see if Snow can continue or if this 4-hour squeeze cloud slows it down and sends it back to consolidate. SPX fell to the 50, settled. And on this nice pop, we shorted the hell out of it. for the end of the day drop. Going to open up. Well, main target's getting back to the 21. This 4,500. Should we reject any of that? Probably coming back to 44.50. And the daily 50 at 44.25. SPY. Keep an eye on yesterday's pre-market highs, the daily 21. We're almost back at it. Pretty much opening right below POC. Looks like we might have almost tapped POC pre-market. So let's see if we can get through POC, magnet to a cannon, take off, and get these daily moving averages shored up on SPY. Should we reject those and come back? Keep an eye on this key 444. We might even dip to 444 to find support before taking off any higher. Should we lose that 444, coming right on back to 442. And the daily 50. Square. My new fun plaything. Square tapped this squeeze bottom, ripped, came almost all the way back, ripped, and continued until the end of day sell-off. Now it's up at the top of these squeezes. And I've just been enjoying Square because it makes such strong moves around open, even if it is a strong drop and pop, or a strong pop and drop. A strong drop. And there's been days where it opens and just rips and then settles sideways. So Square up at the top of these squeezes. Let's see if it wants to take a dramatic little dip real quick to yesterday's highs around this 126 before it goes to take out this 130. We also have POC at 124.76, so it could slip yesterday's high just a little bit to hit POC and then take off for more. Daily 21 at 128. Yeah, not a bad setup. Should it reject the daily 21 at 128 and not get to 130, or reject at 130 at this squeeze top, we could come back to 126, 124, and back down to the squeeze bottom. And the daily 50 at 120 and 118. Tesla. Not quite through its downtrend, but knocking on the door, right? All you do is grab that wick, connect it to this wick, bada bing, we're getting close. We're at this 1,000 and testing this trend line. We'll be testing that 1,009, which is a very key, important level on Tesla. 1,009. If it's not marked on your chart, mark it. We rejected it pre-market. We rejected it cash session. Now we're knocking on that door again. So let's see if we reject again. Come back for a little support before taking off higher. If we can take out that 109, she can accelerate. We do still have POC up at 1033, which makes a nice zone with the daily 8. Should she keep rejecting, we're definitely going back to this 990, 980, 975. If you don't know, Tesla loves 25s, so I'm going to skip Visa and go to VIX. Nope, VIX. So VIX hit 25 in the after hours, rejected hard, and back down, even back kind of below yesterday's action during the cash session. So let's see if VIX can stay below its daily 21, this 23 level. If it can stay below that and keep falling, we can have a continuation on this gap up. If we break through 23 and get ultimately above this 23.33, we'll be seeing some of that profit taking that I talked about and filling the gap a little bit. So key levels on VIX will also help with the market. Hopefully this prep was helpful to everybody. I'll see you guys in the chat If you are new to Predicted Trades and this is your first time viewing us, definitely check out our website. We have revamped it quite a bit. And we will be posting preps here every morning moving forward. So catch you guys tomorrow on YouTube, and we'll catch you guys in our Discord server for the session today. Good luck to everybody. Thanks for tuning in.